I'm wearing my Critical Role shirt. Who's excited? Another video! What's up? I'm filming it on the same day, but I changed shirts because I forgot to take a thumbnail picture for the other. It's fine. It's fine. It'll be fine. Yeah, what is up, my dudes? It's Ash. Today I'm gonna be talking about the movies that I watched in January. The movies and TV shows that I watched in January. Get ready, because it's fun. So we're gonna start with the movies, because I watched way more movies than I watched TV shows. I can't think. I'm so tired. Okay, yeah, so we are going to talk about all of those things. Let's do it. Let's get into it. Let's go. Woo, we're here. No, first movie that I watched was Call Me By Your Name, directed by Luca. I don't know. Call Me By Your Name. I'm not gonna put in a picture. I don't know how to do that. I'm not a good editor. Okay, so yeah, first movie was Call Me By Your Name, starring Armie Hammer and Timothée Chalamet. I did not like this movie very much. I thought the aesthetic was beautiful. I loved how it was shot, and I loved all of the, just like just everything. Like the cinematography was beautiful, but the story lacked a lot. And I don't know, I wasn't a huge fan of the whole story, but I loved Timothée Chalamet. I thought that both of them did a really great job acting, but it's not a movie that I would watch again. I think I gave it about a 3 out of 5 stars, mostly just for the acting and the cinematography. But I know that it's a favorite of a lot of people, so I'm not gonna say too much more about it. I just, you know, wasn't a huge fan. The next movie that I watched was Lady Bird, directed by Greta Gerwig. It also stars Timothée Chalamet. There's a theme here, and Saoirse Ronan. I gave this movie 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was beautiful. It is about a girl who she has like a strained relationship with her mom. She wants to go to college out of California. She wants to go to New York because she hates California. But her mom is always telling her, like, you don't have the grades, you don't have the money, like, we can't do that. But she is determined to get out of there. And it just kind of follows her, at a specific point in her life, like, kind of just moving chronologically, between, when she first joins the school play and when she goes to college. And movies like that, where it's just like, just a time in their life that it seems like you're just kind of getting a peek at, are amazing, and I love them so much. So I am very, very happy with that movie. I thought the acting was wonderful. I thought the overall story was amazing, and I could relate so much to Lady Bird. Not in the fact that my relationship with my mom is strained in any way. I love my mom a lot. If you're friends with me, you know I talk about her a lot. But just like in wanting to go do something, you know, do something, and make it count. Basically get out of where you live. I desperately want to leave North Dakota. I have since I was a teenager, and it hasn't happened yet, but fingers crossed. But yeah, I thought it was a really great movie. The next movie that I watched was The Mortal Engines. I don't like that movie. I think I gave it a 1 out of 5 stars. It was not good. It felt like every single other dystopian YA movie / book. There was literally a point where someone said, oh, watch out for your girlfriend, and the main love interest was like, she's not my girlfriend, and I was like, I literally I groaned out loud and had to turn the movie off. I stopped watching the movie because I was so bored, and it was awful. I don't know what this movie was about. It's a dystopian future. It's got the guy from Lord of the Rings in it who plays one of the main elves. I don't know. It wasn't good. The only reason I watched it was because Robert Sheehan was in it, and I didn't like the Mortal Instruments movie, but I loved him in it. So I was like, even if I don't like this movie, I'm gonna like him. No, I didn't like his character at all. I wanted to go back and rewatch The Umbrella Academy to get the picture of him as this character out of my brain. Like, it was absolutely awful. Don't watch the movie. Please. If you read the book and you liked the book, great, good for you. I heard that it was a lot different than the movie, so I'm sure that the book is great. I just think the movie did a terrible job. I think Guillermo del Toro directed it, which is really sad because he's genuinely like a great director. He directed Pacific Rim. I love Pacific Rim. But no, it was awful. I would not recommend. The next movie that I watched was The Ringer, starring Johnny Knoxville. It came out in 2015, maybe? No, it came out way before that. When did it even come out? I have no idea. It came out a while ago. Starring Johnny Knoxville. This movie is about a man who has to fire a guy from a job and then feels so bad about it that he hires him as his personal housekeeper and like lawn guy, and then that guy ends up cutting off these 3 fingers, and he doesn't have any health insurance, so Johnny Knoxville's character decides to fix the Special Olympics and pretend to be handicapped. This is a nostalgia movie for me. It is not anything other than that. I'm seriously, because it's, I know a lot of people would argue that it's an awful movie, and the premise is bad, and I would agree. It's not good. It's not a good premise, and it's rude. But, you know, it's a nostalgia movie for me. I watched it when I was like super into like Jackass. I watched all of those movies. I watched all of the TV show. I watched Viva La Bam. I watched Wild Boys. And then I started watching Johnny Knoxville's movies. So like I watched The Ringer and Dukes of Hazzard at the same time. So those two both have like a special place in my heart as movies that I could actually talk about with my parents when I was 12 years old and not allowed to watch Jackass. So yeah, I think that's the reason I liked it so much, and I still, you know, I can't even really rate it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, but I can't really rate it properly because it's not a good movie. It's a really bad movie, but it's fun. The next movie that I watched was Underworld, directed in 2003. I can't remember the main girl's name, but it has Michael Sheen in it. I gave this movie a 4 out of 5 stars simply because of Michael Sheen. I am in love with him. I would die for him. And I think he did a great job. The premise of that movie is that I believe werewolves are trying to come up with something like bullets that have like sunshine in them. And so if they shoot a vampire, it automatically dies. I believe that's the premise. I'm gonna be honest, I was mostly focused on Michael Sheen. I thought it was a really fun movie. I watched it with someone who said it was her favorite movie franchise of all time. I can completely understand that. Like, she said it was more of a like nostalgia thing again. But it's wacky. Like, it probably shouldn't be. It's very dark. But it's just wacky and kind of fun. You know, it's bad 2000s graphics, and I think that's awesome. So yeah. If you want to see something that has Michael Sheen in it, and he looks really, really good, but it also has like kind of a fun storyline, definitely watch Underworld. Definitely. The next movie that I watched was The Shining, I think. I believe it was The Shining. The Shining, it was directed by Stanley Kubrick. It stars Jack Nicholson. Great movie. Great movie. It's, you know, I have some issues with it, just given that I have now read the book. I think that they could have done a lot more with it, but I obviously, like, I don't want them to ever touch The Shining. I don't want them to do a remake of the movie, because I think that the original was done really well, and I don't see anyone other than Jack Nicholson playing, Jack Torrance. So yeah, I loved it. Loved it. I did not give this one a rating just because it feels kind of weird to rate the movie, because I would compare it with the book. But overall, really great. If you don't know what The Shining is about, I don't know how to help you. There's a haunted hotel. A man goes crazy. That's pretty much it. The next movie that I watched was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, starring Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. This movie was about 2 guys. One of them was a huge star. It's set in the 80s? 70s? 70s, I think. Um, and it's around the same time that Charles Manson was beginning to amass a lot of followers, and Sharon Tate is in it. She's played by Margot Robbie. I thought it was a fantastic movie. There were a few parts that I thought, were a little slow at times, but overall, very fun. Oh yeah, I was saying before, it's about this guy who used to be in a huge Western TV show, and he's played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and then his stuntman, who is played by Brad Pitt, and they are best friends, and they do everything together, and I found it to be really fun. It's another one of those movies like Lady Bird where it kind of just follows them from one point onto another one. Not a lot happens, but there's still like that air of tension in it, simply because Sharon Tate is in the movie, and if you know anything about the Manson murders, you will know about Sharon Tate. So yeah, it's very like, there's tension. I got worried a few times. But I think that it's really fun. The only thing that I didn't like, and it was in classic Tarantino fashion, so I was sort of expecting it, but I didn't really like the mindless violence that happened at the end. I was like I said, I was very much expecting it, but I don't know, I just didn't really think it was necessary. So I guess that's just my fault for thinking that maybe it would be different. It was not. The next and last movie that I watched was Little Women. I rewatched it with my mom. Directed by Greta Gerwig, starring Saoirse Ronan. I always call her that in my head, but out loud I usually say Saoirse. Saoirse Ronan, Emma Watson, Florence Pugh? Is that how you say it? I don't know. Timothée Chalamet, Laura Dern, and I can't remember who played Beth. I can't remember her name. I'm so sorry. It's starring all of those people though, and 5 out of 5 stars. It's an amazing movie. Definitely my favorite of last year. So good. I literally, I cry every single time I see it, from like a half an hour to the end. Like, last half hour of the movie, just tears, constant tears, because it's so well directed, it's so well shot. I mean, Greta Gerwig is a goddess, and it's amazing. So please, if you have not seen Little Women yet, please go watch it. It's so, so good. It's so good. Those were all the movies that I watched this month. There were quite a few of them. I usually don't watch that many movies in 1 month, or I don't think I do. But I have been, apparently. What's up? I'm watching Monster Factory right now. It's fun, watch it. But also, I completely forgot to say, oh my goodness, what's going on with my hair? Stop! I completely forgot to say that I did also watch Knives Out this month, 5 out of 5 stars. That is definitely also a favorite movie of 2019. Rian Johnson did an amazing job, and I love it a lot. It stars the guy who plays James Bond and Ana de Armas. Amazing. And I would also just, shut up, Griffin. I would also just like to say that it made me realize, and it made me very, very happy, because I realized that Chris Pratt is not just going to be Captain America, unlike, the fact that Robert Downey Jr. is always just going to be Iron Man to me. So, very, very, very excited about that. 5 out of 5 stars. Watch it if you haven't seen it yet. It should have been nominated for Best Picture. Okay, goodbye. Okay, so now moving on to TV shows. What did I watch this month in terms of television? First thing I watched was Good Omens. Good Omens, starring David Tennant and Michael Sheen, based off of the novel written by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett, the late Terry Pratchett. I love this show so much, so much. It is one of my favorite shows of all time. I love it. Crowley and Aziraphale's relationship in that entire show is amazing. If you don't know what it's about Armageddon. And this angel and this demon are trying to stop Armageddon. They're trying to get the Antichrist to not end the world. And it's just so good. It's so good. If you have not seen this show, please watch it. It literally makes my heart melt every single time. It also makes me very emotional. I love the Ineffable Husbands. I would die for them. David Tennant is amazing, obviously, and Michael Sheen is amazing as well. Like, they're perfect, they're polar opposites, but they are so good together, and I am very happy with it. The next show that I watched this month was The Office, I believe. It was a rewatch for me. I've seen this show so many times, and it's leaving Netflix next year, so I have to watch it a few more times this year. But yeah, The Office is a great show. I will forever love The Office. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. And yeah, I will actually be talking about it in another video, hopefully this month, but a not so positive video. And, you know, just keep an eye out for it, because it's going to be kind of interesting. I'm doing a lot of research. It's a lot. But yeah, I will be talking about The Office later this month. Next show that I watched was The Witcher. Great show. I love that show. It's based off of a video game. I literally, oh my goodness. It was really good. It's great. It stars Henry Cavill. I can't remember any of the other actors. But it was beautifully shot. The sword fighting just in the first episode made me want to scream just because of how beautiful it was. Like, it was like a dance, and it was amazing, and I've never seen sword fighting like that. So, like, if you have not seen The Witcher, please go watch The Witcher. It's phenomenal. Oh my goodness. The next TV show that I watched was Broadchurch. There's a little bit of a theme with this as well. David Tennant. I started watching Broadchurch last year. I only got about 2 episodes in, and then I had to stop because I was just not really feeling it. Because if you do want to watch this show, it is a detective show about David Tennant and Olivia Colman's characters, D.I. Hardy and D.S. Miller, who solve crimes. There are only 3 seasons, but, and this might spoil it, but probably not. The first 2 seasons deal with a child's murder and pedophilia. And then the 3rd season deals heavily with sexual assault and sexual violence. It is an emotional show. It is a hard-hitting show. Ultimately, one of the best detective shows I've ever seen. I binged it over like 3 days because of how good it was, but like, it was just so well done. You could really like feel all of the emotion coming off of it. It's phenomenal. So I would definitely recommend it if you like those, and if you aren't going to be triggered by the sensitive topics. Season 1 was my favorite season. It kind of, season 3 was iffy, but I think it ended on a really, really good note. It was very open-ended, so if they ever, maybe, like, why is my voice quivering? If they ever want to go back and, maybe make a season 4, they absolutely could. They left it open. But unfortunately, Broadchurch was canceled. So yeah, phenomenal. Great show. I highly recommend if you think you can handle those topics. If you can't, be safe. And then I'm just going to talk, those are all the TV shows that I watched. Now I'm just going to talk about like little miscellaneous things. I started listening to My Brother and Me, the podcast, starring Griffin, Justin, and Travis McElroy. I don't know how to say their last names. I have not listened to much of it, but I did start listening to it. It's hilarious. I love them so much. So definitely check them out if you enjoy just like them answering questions and like giving advice, even though they probably shouldn't be giving advice. It's hilarious. I also started listening to The Adventure Zone, also with the McElroy brothers. I'm so sorry. I haven't listened to much of it. So, like, if they say their last name a lot, it's been a while and I have not listened to much of it. But The Adventure Zone, it stars them and their father, and they are playing D&D. And it is so good. One of the characters' names is Taco, which is awesome. It's spelled Taako, but still Taco. So it's great. If you like D&D, if you like D&D podcasts, please go check it out. It's phenomenal. Speaking of D&D, I have also been watching Critical Role. I started Started rewatching Campaign 2, and then I moved on again to Campaign 1, trying slowly to get through that. I don't really like Campaign 1, but I know that if I could just get into it, I would. I love Scanlan and Vax, like, they're my two favorite characters, but it's just so hard to get into it. I also love Percy, and Vex, and Grog, and Pike. Ah! I like all of them. I think that I could have liked Tiberius Stormwind had he not been played by Orion Akaba, but I do not. And yeah, I just, you know, I started trying to get through that. Critical Role is great. I love Critical Role. I will always love Critical Role. I started watching, as I'm writing, I have started watching and just sort of listening to Cheyenne Barton's vlogs, her, you know, daily or weekly vlogs that she does. She's very calming. She's very nice. She's an artist, and I really like her. I also started listening to Rachel Stevens' stuff, so those will be linked down in the description. If you don't know who they are, watch them. They're great. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Another quick aside. Sorry, I know this is a long video, but I would also encourage you guys to go check out Watcher. They are a new company that was started last month by Ryan Bergara, Stephen Lim, and Shane Madej of BuzzFeed fame. They have left BuzzFeed, they have started their own company, and I am super proud of them, but, you know, they need people to subscribe. So, basically, on Wednesdays, they do Watcher Weekly, where they answer questions for you, and then on Thursdays, they premiere, an episode of one of their shows. So far, we've gotten Puppet History, which is a history show told by puppets, Spooky Small Talk, which is a show where Ryan Bergara goes out and goes to Not Scary Farm and films him giving interviews while going through a haunted maze. We've also gotten The Weird and Wonderful World, I think is what it's called, and that is Shane and Ryan. Shane is just taking Ryan to all of these weird places. And then the newest one that we got was Homemade, which is a Stephen Lim's show, where he goes to restaurants and eats food, and then goes to someone's house and eats the homemade food that they made, and he's just kind of comparing, because who can compare with homemade food? No one. So it's really, really great. It's such a good show, and I encourage you guys, definitely go check them out, because I am so proud of them. BuzzFeed Unsolved is still a thing. They're working freelance for BuzzFeed, but, Watcher is just, you know, it's their baby. So if you guys want to go check them out, definitely do that. I am so proud of them. Okay, that's actually it. I'm leaving now. I have to upload this video. And I think that's it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe. You do you. I can't control your actions. What did you watch this month? Let me know. Give me suggestions. I don't know. Tell me things. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.